Meeting of the Woolwich Township Committee is being called to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Roll call, please.
Committeeman Frederick. Committeewoman Minhas. Here. Committeewoman Williams. Here. Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Here.
Mayor Mathias.
Here. Everyone can please rise to salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get to the agenda items, I have the unique privilege of recognizing one of our lovely and outstanding residents of Woolwich, who just happened to move to Florida. Oh my gosh! Miss Sherry Hall, if you could please join me up here. Oh my gosh! Are you serious? Oh. I have a little proclamation for you, too. So with this, you're going to learn a little something about this fantastic woman next to me. This is a proclamation honoring Reverend Sherry Lynn Hall. Whereas the Township of Woolwich proudly honors Reverend Sherry Lynn Hall, a devoted resident since 2001, whose faith, artistry, and leadership have enriched our community in countless ways. And whereas a lifelong minister, educator, and advocate, Reverend Hall has dedicated her talents as a spiritual leader, teacher, musician, and playwright to uplifting others through faith, education, and culture. Alongside her husband, Reverend Leslie Holland, she co-founded New Destiny Ministries and has inspired generations through her dynamic choirs, musical works, and community programs. And whereas, as director of the community programming for the Historic and Education Lodge Hall Preservation Preservatory, Reverend Hall has deepened local appreciation for African American history and unity by leading hallmark events such as the Sweetsboro Woolwich MLK Day of Homage, Black History programs, and the Juneteenth celebration. Whereas Reverend Sherry Hall stands as a cherished leader and shining example of faith in action, whose enduring service continues to strengthen the spirit of Woolwich Township. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Mayor, the Township Committee, and the grateful residents of Woolwich Township extend our heartfelt appreciation and thanks to Reverend Sherry Lynn Hall for her outstanding devotion, service, and lasting contributions to the community. Congratulations. Oh, here, you gotta look. Thank you. Not to put you on the spot. Oh my gosh. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you. Oh, wow. Surprise! I can't believe it's the same thing. I like those kind of surprises. All right, we've now arrived at the first public portion of the meeting. The public is reminded to please stand and state their name and address for the record prior to addressing the committee. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The floor is now open for public comment.
Seeing no one come forward, motion to close.
Second. I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, ordinances. We have a few. Ordinance 2026-02, ordinance repealing and replacing Article 3, Affordable Housing Development Fees of Chapter 95 Fees, and Article 12, Affordable Housing of Chapter 203, Zoning of the Township of Woolwich. This is the second reading, public hearing. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay, the floor is now open for ordinance 2026-02.
Seeing no one come forward, motion to close.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can I have a motion to adopt 2026-02?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Does the committee have any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Minhas.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
Yes. 2026-03, ordinance repealing and replacing the mixed-use downtown zone of the Kings Landing redevelopment plan and repealing Article 22 of the Woolwich Township zoning ordinance of 1992. This is the second reading, public hearing, and again, committee, you should be referencing the copy that just went out several hours before the meeting. So, can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The floor is now open for public comment.
Mayor, now please be heard.
Please.
Good evening. My name is Clint Allen. I'm with Archer and Wright. I'm here tonight on behalf of my client, Kings Road Developer. Kings Road Developer is a contract purchaser of land located at 2020 Route 322 here in Woolwich Township. It's also one of the 3 parcels of land that are referenced by the proposed ordinance to repeal and replace the mixed-use downtown zone. My client's proposing to develop 6.5 acres of commercial land, 296 townhomes, with 60 of them being set aside for affordable housing, low and moderate income, and 31.5 acres, actually 31.7 acres of open space. On the total 76 acres of this parcel, the parcel is also known as Block 715 on the tax maps of the township. Now, we're here to share our concerns with some language that's in the proposed ordinance. We had worked slightly cooperatively with members of the township professional staff when we were first proposed the warehouse, which didn't go very well. But then we said, okay, the town has a need for affordable housing, we have a need for retail space, and we certainly can use some more townhomes in the community, particularly in that part of Woolwich on the 322 Paulsboro Road corridor, and that's where this property is located. It actually wraps around the CVS store on 322 and Paulsboro Road. You may know where that is. It's across from the Wawa, and it's just up from SPS Point. Currently it's farm, and there's a single family home there now. But it's in the mixed-use downtown zoning as part of the amended Kings Landing redevelopment plan. That's the first 3/4 of the property. The second, probably third, yes, is in a conservation zone, which we're proposing to keep as open space. That said, we have patiently waited and watched and hoped for this ordinance to come forward. And so when we first learned of it coming forward publicly on February 27th, we were excited because it's going to be introduced at the next township meeting, which is the 2nd of this month. But when we read it, we realized there's some language in there that's concerning. Although it does promote the development of multifamily housing, townhomes, and single-family homes, and commercial space, and it does recognize a 20% set-aside for affordable housing. These are all good things. But what we saw in the language was that to build residential, you have to simultaneously, in a staged manner, build commercial retail. Now, I know we want commercial retail in that part of the township. I live over there. I get it. I want more. However, what we're finding is that right now, retail commercial space is speculative at best. There's not terrific demand for what we would like to provide. And so what's happening is by tying the development of residential to the phased development of commercial, we've actually created an impasse. And I have a professional planner with me named Mark Renza to speak to this. But what happens is, because of the plain language in the proposed ordinance, you actually created the situation where housing is going to be stopped, if not impeded or prevented. And that's going to have an impact on the affordable housing production, which is called for 60. And I know there's also a call out for age-restricted housing. 54 overall units in this MUD zone. Though we don't know who's going to get what, because that's still up to negotiation of a redevelopment agreement. But however, we do see the conflict with the commercial requirements and the townhouse development requirements being simultaneous. We've known over time in Woolwich, Ground Zero, we had a whole lot of houses come forward as part of the Summit Ventures development. Finally, with enough houses, rooftops nearby, we got our commercial radios, and it's thriving. We're committed to building commercial, but the phasing of the houses and the retail simultaneously creates an impasse for us. So with that said, I'd like to call for a professional planner, if I may. I know you have time limits, Mayor, so I won't kill it. But I would like to call our professional planner to actually speak to how the ordinance itself is in conflict with the Fair Housing Act of our state. And we know, if you've read the Fair Housing Act, it's really developed to advance the township as well as the state's constitutional objectives to providing realistic opportunities for the production of affordable housing. And so that said, Mr. Remsa, can you introduce yourself and speak to your qualifications?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Mark A. Remsa. My address is 10 Dewberry Court, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. In terms of my licensure, I'm a licensed professional planner and also a licensed landscape architect in the state of New Jersey. My licenses are in good standing. I've served as a municipal planner, currently serve 2 municipalities as their planner, and I certainly know the time constraints and other constraints you're under in trying to get all of this done. So I've been through that with my municipalities. Is that satisfactory for my qualifications?
Well, we're not swearing you in, it's not the.
Yeah, we're not having a hearing, so
So, yes, but-
it's our pleasure.
That's what I brought with me, Mayor. So this is a qualified professional planner. who's read.
And from the home of Mount Laurel Doctorate.
Yes, right. And I've been in the field for, starting my 47th year in the field of planning.
And you were provided with a copy of the recently admitted housing element fair share plan.
I was. It's available on your website, and I was also made available of the proposed ordinance for tonight.
So you had some thoughts. You heard my intro.
Yes. So I'm here to discuss the objections, but also offer some solutions as well. So it's not just one-sided. It's how we can make sure this works. And also, as Clint talked about, as a planner, I have to know the Fair Housing Act as well. And it's important for municipalities when they prepare their ordinances to make sure that there is a realistic opportunity to provide affordable housing. And also, there are other provisions in there too that talk about when you have inclusionary housing, which this is, there also needs to be incentives in terms of density, which you're providing higher density, but it also has to have reduced costs. And I'm going to focus in on some of these aspects about why that's important to create the realistic opportunity. So, and I'm going to go through just certain sections of the ordinance, and I'm going to highlight the concerns and then offer some solutions to it. So, under permitted uses, which is section 8A, it talks about while the following uses are permitted, the mixed-use nature of the zone requires the construction of both residential and non-residential uses. The concern I have is requires, and I'll tell you why. Because when you require the two to be developed, the linkage between non-residential development and residential development may not always occur in terms of the market. So to require a developer to go forward and produce the housing as well as the non-residential, and if there is no market or if there's little of a market for non-residential, what's going to happen is it's going to increase the overall costs of the overall project. And the reason being is to get a non-residential development in place, it requires financing, it requires permitting, it requires a whole host of things. And if there's no market for it, the developer will not get financing for it. So that means that the non-residential is not going to happen, and therefore the residential won't happen because the two are linked. So what should occur is that you should break the linkage between the two and not require, but permit the residential and the non-residential. Also, in your fair share plan, the fair share plan talks about setting aside areas for non-residential, not linking the two together in terms of the construction of residential and non-residential. As a matter of fact, in the housing, in the fair share plan, it says efforts to retain areas for commercial ratables. Any amendment of this zone will require a commercial component. So, as I view that, is that yes, you should designate in your ordinance an area of the properties where non-residential development should occur, but not have the linkage of the two to be built concurrently or phased together. Also, when I looked at under that section of the permitted uses, it's replacing another ordinance, right? So it's replacing the mixed-use zone, and in that mixed-use zone, you have a whole host of residential uses that are permitted. The way the ordinance is written now, it doesn't talk about any of those residential uses being permitted. So you really should insert the residential types of units that you want to see there. And in terms of single-family homes, apartments, so on and so forth, you should also include townhouses. And the development plan does not have definitions in it. It relies on the other parts of your ordinance. And in there, you have defined townhouses and all those other types of dwelling units. So there should be an inclusion of the types of residential units that are going to be permitted in this proposed ordinance. Also, in section 8C, it talks about requiring a redevelopment agreement as part of the checklist. And so what that really does is delays the adjudication of any kind of site plan or subdivision for any of the inclusionary housing. And that delay impedes the realistic opportunity to provide affordable housing. It's commonplace to have a redevelopment agreement executed as a condition of approval for the site plan or subdivision, but not to put it in the front end, because that's just going to delay its ability to get that application heard. And of course, all the other subsequent permitting that's required. Also, in section 8E, it talks about the zone must produce 54 age-restricted affordable units. Now, when I went to your fair share plan, it does not mention anything about age-restricted affordable units. It just says affordable units. And that's important because the law limits the amount of age-restricted housing that is permitted for your fourth round. And that's something that needs to be addressed. But right now, the way the ordinance is written is out of sync with your fair share plan, because the fair share plan just says affordable units. And so I believe that the age restrictions should be taken out because it does not comport with your fair share plan. And then finally, there's a section in here that talks about 8F9 subsection C. And as each development must provide at least 130 square feet of non-residential construction per residential unit. And there's that linkage that needs to be broken. Because once you attach that with the residential development, you come back to that same problem of that if there's no market for non-residential, they're not going to build it, they won't get the financing for it, and that'll only delay and impede the ability to put the inclusionary housing in place. So the solution there, I think, is rather straightforward. For example, for Kings Road property, that would be Block 7, Lot 5. I think what would be appropriate to put in your ordinance to say, well, provide the 6.5 acres of commercial, dedicated commercial space, fronting along, Highway 322. There you've now complied with the fair share plan, saying that you want a designated area for commercial development, and then the balance of the property that is developable will be ready for the inclusionary housing. That sums up the concerns, but also the offering of some solutions to our concerns.
And let me try to put some numbers to this, if you don't mind, Mayor. I have a concept plan I can share with you. You've already seen that before, this group text, so I won't waste your time. But in the context of this project for Peter Road, 296 homes, with the current phasing schedule in the proposed ordinance. So the build out of 25% plus one, this is from the proposed ordinance. For us, that would be 75 dwelling units. So if you look at the right-hand side of the chart, construction phasing minimums, that means I would be producing just under 4,000 square feet of retail with those first 75 units. You go down the chart to 50% of the residential units being constructed before I get to see about the last one. It's 148 dwelling units, which calls for, I'm going to round it slightly, 12,000 square feet of retail. At the 75% mark for housing production. Now for us, that's 222 dwelling units. We then have the 70 percentile non-residential square footage requirement, rounding up slightly. That's 27,000 square feet of retail. And then at the 90 percentile for housing production, 90% of non-residential required. Now we're at just under 35,000 square feet. The total build out of 296 homes under this chart relies, you're just under 39,000 square feet of retail. That's a lot of retail. And in this market right now, it's speculative. It's going to be tough to get financing for retail until I get the community built out. It actually gets a footprint. Car traffic, for how folks actually come and go from work and shop at convenience type of strip malls. And we would hope for a pet site. Love to have a restaurant. That's all going to come with my first 75 dwelling units. I'm sorry.
I just want to add, part of my career, I used to be the director of economic development and regional planning for Burlington County. I've worked very closely with many developers, and developers don't want to sit on vacant land. They want to see it developed because that's an income stream. But the other thing they don't want to see is they don't want to see them forced into developing something where they know that there is no market for it and that they won't have the financing for it, and they know that it's turned into an albatross for them. So developers want to see the commercial part developed, but if there's no immediate market and there's a linkage between the residential and the non-residential, that's highly problematic. And that's not going to get the inclusionary housing nor the commercial development. So by setting aside an area in your ordinance and saying this is where the commercial has to go, well, in that case, then when the market is right for non-residential, it's going to happen because the developer is not going to want to sit on just vacant land because there's costs to that as well. But not as tremendous cost if they were to build something that sat vacant for quite a long time. Because the carrying costs are tremendous, and the debt on that is tremendous.
Well, you got to where I was about to go there, Mr.
Oh, sorry.
So you talked about carrying costs. So you heard me mention with 25% plus one of the residential production, 75 units. You're looking at 4,000 square foot retail. However, you said something about carrying costs. So infrastructure, roads, curbs, drainage basins, stormwater pipe, sewer lines, is that all going in up front as part of that 6.5 acre retail commercial zone?
Most likely what's going to happen is the infrastructure, the pipes that are going to serve the whole development get installed all at once because there's economies of scale. They do that right away. So what happens is when it's ready to put the commercial buildings in, then they go up quickly. But all the other infrastructure, because of the way it's laid out, the way it connects, and the way the economies of scale. That's all put up development up front.
So when the time is right, pad sites are ready.
Pad sites go up much more quickly under that condition. And that's also a big cost to be carried if there's no dark no tenants.
Will that mitigate some of the concerns the township would have trying to bring forth retail?
I believe it would, because of all that infrastructure there, then that infrastructure is ready for the next stage of development of that property.
So Mayor, I know we've warned your patience. I
Yes,
don't want
thank
to work any thinner than I have. But what we're asking this body to do is to table the adoption of this ordinance. I'd like to have a chance to work with you continuing, try to find a way to make this ordinance work. Financially, the way the schedule is, it's not going to work, and we're going to end up with no housing and no retail. Maybe I'll get 75 units. That really doesn't get us over the goal line. And so that's why we respectfully ask that this be tabled, re-examined, and then reintroduced and brought forward for further hearing. Thank you. Any questions for me? I'll field them.
Well, again, this is in the Kings Landing redevelopment zone, correct?
That's correct.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the language in that redevelopment zone automatically calls for a redeveloper's agreement.
It does.
It does, okay.
We don't need to argue over that. We
Okay.
know precedents here. Forgive Mr. Ramsey, he's new.
No,
to
I
Woolwich
get it.
Township, so we're not going to argue that point. I'm really more focused on the phasing schedule of retail and
Understood.
residential.
So,
That's really why we're here.
what is your understanding of the MUD zone, the one that this is currently replacing as an MU zone? So what was the MUD zone?
Well, it's not that great either, but we do need housing, and that's why we wanted.
We need housing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just said you live here, Clint.
I do. We do need
Okay.
housing. We need affordable housing. We need housing in that part of our community. Right now, it's industrial by nature. I want to see residential there along Paulsboro. We have a nice pocket, a significant pocket of residential further north on Paulsboro Road around the Varick Street or Varick Avenue and points north. But then you kind of get south of that, we get a little thin. I know there's some other folks trying to bring farms forward for housing, they're just not working with environmental constraints. This is one that really would help give our township a little bit of that place, that sense of place that we've been craving for. Townhomes that can support some retail. Now all of a sudden, we've got another flag to plant besides the one we have out here in the corner of Center Square Road and Auburn.
And I think you just touched upon it. It is residential along with retail. That's the MUD
correct.
zone. So having that blend, we have precious few parcels that are the MUD zone that can have that mix. And I know I'll let our planner speak to this as well. But so I don't want to speak for the committee, but to us, I think, or to me, having that commercial with the residential has always been important. And your planner just said that commercial may never happen, or it's going to be like the coming soon signs that we hear of 22 years later. There's still no movie theater, no Kmart, none of any of these programs. So having that MUD zone, to me, is very important. So we like the plan that you guys came forward with, because it is a mixed use zone. So respectfully, I hear you, and we're going to let our planner answer some of your questions. Does the committee have any other questions for Mr. Allen?
If I may, Mayor, and thank you for indulging me. What I'm saying, just plain speak, is I think we're putting the cart in front of our horse. I'd really like to see the residential go forward. That will support and encourage the retail development. And that's really the end summation, the best I could ever give you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashton, would you care to comment on any of those?
Sure, I can comment on some of it. I guess the first thing I'll say is I want to make sure that the ordinance that is being reviewed is not different than what was sent prior. And the reason I bring that up is there was like references, and those were not the references I see in the ordinance in terms of numbering. So I'm going to go off of what I have as the ordinance. But there was a statement that there were no uses indicated in the ordinance. I just want to say that there are uses indicated in the ordinance, and they are, sorry, I have multiple tabs open here. So under section C, well, under section 1 of the ordinance, then section C, and then section 2, it indicates that you're permitting single-family semi-detached, single-family attached, two-family dwellings, triplexes, and multifamily. So those are the types of residential that's permitted in the zone. Those are largely from the existing zone today. Then I do want to jump over to the existing zone today because I think it's a good sort of base understanding of how we got here. So the existing zone today is a strange hybrid mix between the King's Landing redevelopment plan and then the standard ordinance. And so what the King's Landing redevelopment plan did is it created this MUD zone, and then and there are some standards, and then by reference, it goes to the MU zone. This ordinance is getting rid of, I'll just say getting rid of both, keeping it in the King's Landing redevelopment plan and renaming it MU. So the references in the underlying code go away, and then this replaces what's in the King's Landing redevelopment plan. So the King's Landing redevelopment plan currently requires a redevelopers agreement, currently requires a mix of uses, and has a density of 5 units an acre. It then also references the MU zone, which is actually, I'll say, more of a homage to sort of the original intent of the MUD zone of that town center. So the existing MU zone in the code is very form-based, talks about setbacks, talks about heights in relations to setbacks, and for lack of a better word, I'll just call it a town center or a new urbanist design. In making these amendments, we recognize that market forces have shifted, and so we're allowing a range of uses. I'll say we're allowing a range of more traditional commercial, highway commercial, but we also do want this mix. So that's sort of how we get there. So I guess what I'm saying is I think there's some existing impediments in the existing zoning, which is maybe possibly why it hasn't developed. Also, sewer was a reason on why it hasn't developed. And we're trying to get rid of those impediments. And then additionally, we're increasing the density from what the zone already allows to then accommodate and recognizing that we're now putting in this set aside for affordable housing. So it's sort of like density goes up, recognizing that we're now requiring affordable housing. So we see that as a positive as opposed to a negative. If we just kept it how it is, lower density, less likelihood that things would even happen there. And so, yeah. Then back to the standards. So I guess I'll talk about the 130 square feet first. The 130 square feet came from a mixture of multiple studies. I'm going to sort of just lump them all together and say that the various studies collectively came out to approximately a house can support 130 square feet of retail. So we said, if we're going to have new houses, since we have no retail now, if we have new houses, we're just going to tie it to that. Part of the logic there is, when we were drafting this initially, was more typically you might say 20% of the square footage is retail or whatever that number is. But because we're allowing both vertical construction with, say, ground floor retail and apartments above and horizontal, it's kind of hard to tie them together because clearly if we could say first floor of every apartment has to be retail, but because we're having different uses, we went with the percentage to allow, the square footage to allow the developer the option of it could be in building A in an apartment building, or it could be adjacent to townhomes. Market would decide what would work there. As for the 54 age-restricted units, that is directly tied to the max that the municipality can seek in the 4th round. So the municipality doesn't actually have any age-restricted units, but in the prior rounds. But that being said, in the 4th round, we have a 241 obligation, and we're allowed to take 30% of that as being age restricted. If you do the math, it doesn't exactly come out, and that's because the new rules say that it's 30% of the units that are being constructed. So that's why it's slightly less. So the 54 is directly just the 30% max of.
And that's for the entire zone.
Yep,
So
that's for the entire zone.
Are each of the parcels in that zone the same size?
They are not. They're
They are
all
not.
different sizes. So we couldn't just blanket say, we couldn't just say that.
So it's a pro rata share.
Yeah, we couldn't say like all of them get to do 18% because then some would be doing more and some would be doing less.
Okay, so it's pro rata share.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, and I will say like it's not necessarily pro rata share. So the way it's indicated now is it's just a number, we need this. And since you need a developer's agreement, when you come in and you talk about that, you'll have conversations with the committee, and the committee could say, hey, we love this project. We're not going to do any on this first project. Or they could come in and say, we love this project, but we want them all now. That would obviously be a conversation, and then obviously that would dictate going forward what would happen.
As a planner, would you say that age-restricted units are generally smaller in size than?
Yeah, so generally age-restricted, no one builds 3-bedroom age-restricted units, so you're going to get a smaller unit. And part of the logic, too, was that the age-restricted unit, I think it's sort of a two-part. One could argue demand, because we are taking a slice of a pie, and that pie is the affordable housing pie, and now we're taking a smaller slice of that pie, and we're saying only this portion can be age-restricted. Based on experience, there's plenty of demand for affordable units, and so I don't think that age-restricted unit is going to sit on the sideline and not sell. So we would argue that it doesn't affect demand, at least from an affordable housing unit standpoint. And then secondly, that age-restricted unit should be cheaper to construct than a 3-bedroom unit. And therefore, we would anticipate, because it's an inclusionary project where the developer is seeking financing, that would actually be a financial benefit to do age-restricted. If the demand stayed the same and you had to build a smaller house, your upfront costs and what you're absorbing in all of the other units that you're constructing and in the retail would be minimized. I guess the phasing schedule was mainly driven by, there are similarities between this phasing schedule, they're not exactly the same, this phasing schedule and what affordable housing regulations would require when you're phasing affordable. So affordable housing regulations would first say, as you build your market rate units, you have to then build incrementally your affordable units so that we don't get stuck with just market rate units and no affordable. We sort of took the same approach, and we said if affordable housing regulations are going to let us phase market rate houses and affordable units, we're then going to phase all units with the non-residential. And so that was sort of the design. We also didn't want to get stuck with, let's just say, a full build-out project and no retail. I do wonder what the legalities or the logistics of that would ultimately mean if it came in as a approved site plan or approved subdivision. If you come in and you say, I'm going to build 250 units and I'm going to build, we'll just make up a number, 300 square feet of retail, and that's your approved plan, and then you only effectuate part of the plan, that seems like that's a path I don't want to get into the technicalities of what that would mean down the road. That sounds dubious. So we're sort of saying you have to come in with an approved plan because to get the residential, you have to be mixed use. So we can't carve out something and say at some point in the future it will be this, maybe, hopefully, and someone else is going to develop it and we're going to develop our half. So they are connected as by design, and that was the logic. And then I think it's also just important to note that in the Mount Laurel Doctrine, they say like there is clearly a promotion and aim for constructing affordable housing, but there is references to that should not be done sort of for the contrary point of developer profit. And so I think it's important to note, or it's important to consider that one project might mathematically work and might generate a profit for a developer, and another project might mathematically work and generate a smaller profit. But really our debate should just be what is a reasonable profit. And so I think we could say obviously this developer does not think that there is a market for retail right now in Woolwich. I would say an affordable housing developer who we litigated with 2-3 years ago, Steve Wolfson, actually asked us to zone lots of areas for commercial property, which he felt was directly in line and he could justify, and he asked for it. He asked for warehousing, he asked for retail, he asked for lots in connection with his affordable housing. So granted, conditions change and conditions fluctuate. I would argue Steve Wolfson thought there was plenty of market for non-residential. Yes, he also is building lots of residential as well. And then I guess the last point is these zones our time frame for this is the next 10 years. I guess we could say the next 9 years, but from 2025 to 2035 is the range of time that this is happening. I don't think we necessarily need this to be built tomorrow. I don't think everyone expects all of Woolwich to all of a sudden get fully built out in the next year. So I think we also need to consider timing, and we need to consider, like, as things build over time, other things come. And so yes, the goal is by the end of the next 10 years, these projects would be built. That is literally what we're saying in our fair share plan, because it's a plan for the next 10 years. For now, that's my response. Yep.
All right, thank you. And I know we're still in public session. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak on this ordinance?
Seeing no one additional to come forward, motion closed.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. The floor is now closed. All right, motion to adopt 2026-03.
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All right, any additional questions from the committee for Ashton or in general? Or our own past economic development? Do you believe that there will be in the next 10 years a market for retail alone?
I do, and I just had a question. If you guys could maybe, when you get a chance, show us the study that you have that shows that there's no market for retail.
We never said there was no market.
We're not saying that at all.
I'm not saying that at all. We're saying that the linkage between the two may not align, and realistic opportunity to provide inclusionary housing won't be there.
But I think we can show you that there is a retail commercial component that is.
But the point is that.
Well, okay, I don't want to get into cross debate,
Yeah.
but
Affordable housing.
Mr. Watson.
And I think it's also good data from our planner, which is why he's our planner. But also experientially, way too much experience with retail or home developers that have come in who are great home developers, like yourself, and don't really either understand, don't desire, don't want to get part of the commercial, do the residential, wipe their hands of the commercial, go to the next development. Way too much experience for that. That's part of the reason why we do phasing. I've done phasing in another town, worked beautifully. And the commercial right now, retail, from what I'm talking with developers right now, much hotter than it was when we did it there. So I understand trepidation, but the market is here. There's a reason why Wilson Development isn't going right now. It's not because the market for commercial retail is not. It's for other reasons right now. And you would be in the hottest spot in Woolwich, because it's going to be the first one outside of the Wilson Development that's going to have commercial. You're going to have people running to you to get to that location. I don't see that as an issue at all.
Thank you. Committee, any additional questions? All right, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Minhaj.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
Yes. 2026-05, ordinance amending Chapter 68, Section 2 subsection F2 of the municipal code. This is the second reading, public hearing. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The floor is now open for 2026-05.
Seeing no one come forward, motion to close.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-05?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Minhas.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
Yes. Ordinance 2026-06, ordinance amending Chapter 168 taxation to add Article 5, Section 168-14, disabled veterans property tax exemption. This is the first reading introduction. Can I have a motion to introduce?
Motion to introduce.
And I have a second?
Second.
All right, so basically why we're seeing this is we currently have no wording on disabled veteran property tax exemptions. So of course, as you read over it, and just so for the public to know, the state offers 100% disabled veterans a tax exemption after they file with the VA, and then they file with the county tax assessor, and then the municipality then refunds the money. But we have no wording in there to define the parameters of it, nor to extend it to widows or anything like that. So this is what this ordinance is doing. It's not taking it away. We are absolutely 100% in support of offering this deduction. This just gives it parameters so that we can refer to it. So that's why you're seeing the first reading and introduction of it. Are there any questions? Okay, good. Roll call, please.
Committeewoman Minhas.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
Yes. All right, I'm going to look for a motion for a consent agenda for resolutions 2026-101 through resolution 2026-114B. That's in boy. And I have a motion for a consent agenda.
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any removals? Any questions on that? All right, then I need an all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And can I have a motion to adopt resolution 2026-101 through resolution 2026-114B?
Motion to adopt resolution 2026-101 to R 2026-114B.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any questions? All right. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Committeewoman Minhas.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
Yes. And that quickly, we're to reports. Yay. All right, administrative report.
We're going to go, pretty much. Right at the top, work in process of hiring 3 new, it's very exciting, firefighters. In order to do that, we're also working with the shared services suite, so that's completed, and we're excited to interview these fellows tonight, and just excited about the growth of the fire company and what our chief has been doing. Reviewing budgets right now, so we're beginning to go over that, and we're also working through the housing element. As you know, the housing element is fair share plan, which is, great fun as we go back and forth through all the resolutions. Just a couple of projects we have, and I'll let Mark Sparks speak on a lot of the road work. The Lock Avenue Park continues. They did do the wet tap, which was successful this last week, and now we have irrigation in the park, which is, we don't need it tonight, but or the next week, but we do have irrigation, so we can plant grass and all that fun stuff. So they continue when weather changes. We'll have the paving on the existing parking lot. You can see the equipment out there now, as well as the new parking lot. On page 11, we did meet with North Point Development. As you know, they're back in terms of putting their 1.5 million or so square feet of warehousing over off of Pancos and Kings Highway. They are working through, as with Wilson is as well, DOT and Turnpike Authority, to work out their light issues, their widening issues, and all of that. So they did come and chat with us about some of the issues that they are concerned about moving forward. Residential Kings Meadow development, they were held up just a little bit in terms of monies that they had to provide. They did provide those sewer connection fees, and as soon as that happened, 20 permits went out the door. So they now have 20 building permits that are out there to build model homes, and they begin to sell in the next 3 months. They'll start selling product out there. Let's see, stormwater management. We had a meeting today. That's on page 21. We're just continue to work with Bryson and Yates to go through this year will continue to be in compliance with 2026 with DEP's plan, with our SP3 plan, MS4, and also the stormwater infrastructure plan. And we're working well with Public Works. Brian's offering a couple of his guys for a couple of weeks to save us a lot of money to be able to do some inlet investigation and find out where all those inlets in the town specifically are. And last, in terms of retail, we are working with a developer who is interested actually in this gentleman's site for commercial development, and they spoke, we put them up together, and they're also involved in a couple of other locations along 322 outside of Wilson's project, because they know that probably will still be a little bit down the road. And we also had a chat online with McDonald's and encouraged them to not have the shoebox look and have a little dimension and that kind of thing. So really didn't change from our last meeting.
No.
But,
Wait, just to speak on that real quick. So again, they submitted a revised design, and I said, can you put them up side by side? Because I can't tell, they didn't listen to anything that we
Kind of a
said.
light bar there.
Yeah, they're like, there's a watermark, like, and that was it.
So I think they got it, so they're gonna come back and talk, because they do need to be designated as the redeveloper from this committee before they go to jail. That's why they're wrangling with us right now, before they go back to jail. That's all I have.
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the Easter egg hunt is at Lock Avenue on Saturday. Will the equipment still be there? Because, we'll have thousands of
Well,
people.
we certainly told them through our engineer, they need to be done by Friday, striping as well. Everything's contingent on weather. Should take a couple of days to be done. Hopefully they would be able to get the equipment out of there. The goal is really to have that complete
I think
by
Mark is
Friday.
itching to answer that.
I was going to touch on this on my segment, but yeah, so they are well aware they have to be out by Saturday. So right now we're going to have a meeting tomorrow morning with the contractor to discuss anything with the rain today affecting it. But the plan is there are two options. If the weather is good enough for them to pave starting on Wednesday, they're going to base pave Wednesday, top pave Thursday, stripe on Friday. If the weather is not good enough to base pave on Wednesday, they will base pave Thursday, top pave Friday, and do temporary striping with a sort of spray paint type material on Friday, so that they will be striping on Friday for the egg hunt on Saturday. And then they'll come back and do permanent painting with the thermoplastic paint the following week. But in order to get striping down of some kind, those are the two options that we have at this point. And our meeting tomorrow morning will confirm which direction we're going to go in.
Did you say striping on Saturday?
No.
Friday.
Okay.
Friday.
So if it rains all week, can the equipment be moved for the egg hunt?
Well, that's the problem though, because we don't want them on a half-paved, non-striped.
No, if it doesn't start the project.
Right now, the current forecast, there may be some rain tomorrow, but it's likely early in the morning tomorrow. But the forecast has no rain for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
We're gonna get it done.
Okay.
And they were aware. However, they were not out on Friday. I thought they would be working on Friday, and they didn't work on Friday. So tell that to Josh.
Okay.
Any additional questions for the administrator? Thank you, Jim. All right, tax collector, the report is as submitted. Okay. And Woolwich Fire Company.
Evening, Mayor and Committee. You guys have my report, which is included in your agenda packet. Basically explains 67 incidents for the month of February, 6-minute, 46-second response time. It's decreased in previous months, which is good. Gives you the location where we were: Woolwich Township 39, Woolwich Township 1, Turnpike 6, Polishburg Township 2, Sweetburg 12, Harrison 1, South Harrison 4, Deptford, and Mantua. The guys are currently working on their annual trainings, getting all that stuff done, so we get our stuff squared away. And once the weather breaks here shortly, we'll be back to the academy for our live burns. So you guys are welcome to come and join a Tuesday night or a Saturday at the academy. Maybe we can get the administrator in there and go ahead and get Bob to see what it's about. Other than that, I have our 3 candidates here tonight. Hopefully, we'll go through those guys and have their interviews. That's basically it. We're working and everybody's on the ground running right now, so.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Swedesboro Fire Bureau, I think the report was included. And Chief Daniels.
Just a couple things in addition to my report. I mentioned in February's meeting that we are participating in Operation Goal Zero. March 10th, we have 5 officers for a 4-hour block, conducted 51 motor vehicle stops on 322, and issued numerous summonses for speeding, careless driving, failure to observe traffic signals, cell phone use, and they locked up one guy for DWI. So it was pretty successful. That was within 4 hours, 51 car stops. So they were rocking out there. We're still awaiting guidance from the state in reference to the newly established e-bike laws. We got nothing so far, so we're just waiting to hear from that. And the last thing I have is we just announced we're going to be doing this year's Youth Academy. Will be the week of July 27th with information to follow. We'll put everything out.
Okay. You do have the registration forms out or not yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm just giving a heads up. It's going to be the week of July 27th.
Are you going to do it back here or at the school?
I think we're still working on that.
Okay. Let us know when you have the
We
details.
will. But this is the report. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Any questions for the chief? Thank you.
All right, thank you, good evening. You have my report. There's a couple of things I would like to update since submitting it. The Back Creek Road LAIF grant, our office submitted that last Thursday, and with the resolution of support passed tonight, we will upload that to the state system, and that the application will be complete, and we'll just have to wait for whenever they decide to grant an award amount, and we can go from there.
Isn't that like in the next month or something?
It's a rolling thing, so it's a whenever I guess they have the funding. It's discretionary funding, so it's whenever they have the funding, and then they evaluate it and kind of give their allotment out. I do know we talked previously that if we can somehow maybe contact somebody with the state, it could go a long way in either speeding up the process or getting more money allocated to the project. But they don't give any deadline on their website as opposed to the other grants where it's kind of firmly laid out. But within the next couple of months. High Hill Trail Phase 3, we were going back and forth with the state about some comments that they had. We were able last week to go out with the contractor and do measurements of the ADA ramps. We submitted our response back to the state today. Hopefully they accept our response and we can finally close that out, but that's the hang up right now. Lockout Park, parking lot paving we discussed. But the additional field lighting, just wanted to give you an update on that on our side. So the survey has been completed, and right now our electrical design team is currently working on the permit plans. We've told them this is top priority, and they've been working on it since the survey has been completed. So as soon as those are done and we can forward everything to the contractor, then they will order everything from Geosport and get moving on that.
But isn't that like, again, we already know basic quantities that are coming in from Geosport lighting. So is it additional conduit that is through a third party? Like, why can't we do the bulk of the ordering now in anticipation?
They haven't given us an exact reason. I think they've just said that they would prefer to have everything already completed before they place their order. We think it's possibly there have been previous projects where they've been burned ordering things before the plans have been done, and they've had to go back and reorder. And we've asked, and we told them that we were under the impression we could work on the plans while you order and the lead time occurs, and they said that they prefer to have everything already completed so that they can order at that time.
And we can't order the stuff outside of them?
I think it's because they're going through the electrical subcontractor, and I guess the contract and change order is through the Wyndham and Deerfield, that they're getting it from Geosport.
Right. Right.
But that is the top priority electrical team, so we're working on that as quickly as we can. Any other questions on the park before I move on?
Well, we heard we finally got irrigation, so is there an update as far as if they're going to hydro seed or when that's going to take place?
I will follow up. I haven't heard any update on that, but I can follow up on it. Anything else in the park?
Not on the park.
Moving on to the Russell Mill and Back Creek Road project. Slight update. I have in my report that the road work for Back Creek was going to start this week. It's actually going to start next week. After I submitted the report, South State got back to me and said, due to some weather, that some things got shifted around and this project got pushed back 1 week. So the paving work will be starting next week, so this week. And the paving on Russell Mill is going to begin the week of the 30th. It said it should take them approximately 3 days to do that.
And resident notices will go out for that?
Yes.
Okay.
For Oakview Terrace, there was a resident concern about drainage at the intersection of Oakview and Sycamore back in late fall. At that time, it was too late. The asphalt plants had already closed. It was too late to do any sort of milling or paving to alleviate that. So we kind of bookmarked it for now, and we've coordinated with the contractor. They will go out and mill back further and then regrade to alleviate the ponding issue. That's all going to be done within the contract. There is enough, if and where quantities within the contract, that it'll cover any work that they do with that. So we're not anticipating any sort of change order with that. We've already discussed that with the contractor, and that's the understanding right now.
Well, that's good.
And that was the last thing I had to update. Any other questions?
And I had a question, I think we covered this, but, so Back Creek, that section you're paving will be one lane, or will it be totally blocked?
No, it'll be just one lane will be closed. There'll be one-way traffic coordinated with police flagging to allow traffic to go either direction. But they submitted a traffic control plan that we kind of gave comments on, actually the police gave comments on. Did not have a full road blockage and have one-way traffic each way with flagging.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, liaison reports. Unfortunately, Committeeman Frederick is not feeling well, so we send him his best, or our best, for him to feel better quickly. Committeewoman Williams.
Okay, Parks and Rec update. We had another successful field scheduling meeting with baseball and softball. It went beautifully. I was very happy. We had also, with Parks and Rec, we had a daddy-daughter dance. And we do 2 dances, and we had over 240 couples total, so a lot of people. And then we recently, on Friday night, had the mother-son mixer, and we had a little over 100 couples. And Mayor was our bingo caller. So it was a fun event. Lots of screaming and running boys. And she riled them up.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know what it ended on? Out of all the games, it ended, the winner for a cover-all was on 067. It went crazy. The whole place went crazy.
So right now, we're gearing up for Fun Day. We're going to be working on sending out donation letters to various professionals and organizations in town. So.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right. Committeewoman Minhas.
All right, February's trash and recycling summary. There were 31 extra cardboard collections for the month of February. There were 54 metal collections scheduled, which was the equivalent of 1.11 tons, equaling to $180.80, which was received. And there were 158 bulk collections, which was 9.73 tons.
Wow. All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, Deputy Mayor.
All right, so the Environmental Commission has been busy. They referred over to us some language to modify our solar ordinance to allow solar on the ground and smaller lots. They'll be presenting that to us at our next meeting in April for the committee for discussion. Woolwich has been designated a tree city by the Arbor Day Foundation. So a special shout out to Dana Cotton, who's been working on this for over a year to get this designation. This is in honor of our commitment to plant, grow, and maintain trees to benefit the community. Trees are proven to help mitigate the urban heat island effect, improve air quality, reduce stormwater runoff, and boost mental and physical health. When the right trees are planted in the right places, they can also reduce traffic noise, increase property values, and reduce energy costs for homeowners. We look forward to working with residents and volunteers in 2026 to plant more trees around Woolwich so we can all grow and thrive. In addition, there is a park cleanup at the Auction Park in Swedesboro on March 28th. I believe that is 9 to 12. You can find further details on the Environmental Commission's Facebook page. And if time allows, they will be moving to Woolwich afterwards. And got no update on school, so that's a wrap.
All right, any questions for the Deputy Mayor? All right, way to go, Tree City, USA. I can't wait. Where are we going to put the, because we get a plaque, right, or a sign?
This is kind of hot off the press that we're approved, so I don't know that we're there yet.
All right. Okay. Next to a tree, I hope.
I would really hope so.
All right.
Yeah, rest of me out.
All right. Okay. We've already heard from the administrator, so just a couple updates from the Joint Land Use Board. Of course, we've been busy looking at the master plan consistency, which was again brought in front of the Township Committee tonight, as well as we did a courtesy review for Kingsway of a turf field that they're going to be putting in. They're going to be turfing over one of their soccer fields. That's along that's along 322, kind of in front of, or I should say southeast of where the football stadium is. So that was just a courtesy review, and they're putting lights on it. So expect lots more games to be happening there. Any questions for me? All right, we have nothing under old business or new business unless anyone from the committee would like to add something. All right, then we've entered the second public portion. Public is reminded to please stand and state their name and address for the record prior to addressing the committee. Can I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
I have a second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. The floor is now open for public comment.
Seeing no one from the public present, motion to close.
Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now, I have Resolution 2026-115, resolution authorizing a closed session regarding personnel, interviews, review, and hiring. Can I have a motion to go into a closed session?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. We are enclosed. All right. You ready, Jess? Okay. Can I have a motion to return to regular session?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are now back in regular session. Approval of minutes, regular and executive minutes dated February 17th, 2026, and regular minutes dated March 2nd. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any changes, questions?
No.
Okay. All right, then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? And can I have a motion to approve the bills and purchase orders as submitted?
Motion to approve the bills and purchase orders as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Sure. Committeewoman Minhas.
Yes.
Committeewoman Williams.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Nocentino.
Yes.
Mayor Mathias.
Yes. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second, and I have a second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned until April 6th.